Good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Corny cup, Henny cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Kadagi, to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm at the Fair and Really Hot. Hey, we discuss local and national Native news and events, and as you know, Chujunk, it's really hot out here. It's really hot out here. But also, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega, on all of those things. This portion of the show is supported by JS Bean Factory off Randolph Avenue in St. Paul. Only the good stuff keeps us awake.
Well, as hot as it is, me and my Hinu Jalisa are out here. A lot of people still coming by and buying things. We're at the West End Market here at the Minnesota State Fair. The great get-together. If you want to look up, there's a big windmill kind of about 25 yards from us, but if you head in that direction, you'll be able to find us. Come on, stop by. I know a lot of people have, and I just want to say I'm really appreciative, Haley, of all the people that have come by and listened to our show.
I know I was, kind of stalking your Facebook a bit there to see who you were going to post a selfie with. And of course, they're with, all of our cool friends and relatives. And yeah, just, a boatload of people coming through the West End Market. So be sure to stop by Native Roots Trading Post.
I kind of wish I was on a boat, be able to jump in the water. It's 95 out here, and I think the humidity is really high. And so it's pretty hot here.
Well, the Indigenous Peoples Day at the Minnesota State Fair was yesterday on Sunday. I know you were there for that. Pretty good turnout.
Yeah, really good turnout. And again, the Lieutenant Governor was there speaking at the end. A lot of good singers. And it's funny, too. Sean Sherman was the spearhead of this, and he talked about how 3 years ago it was in a little corner tucked away here at the Minnesota State Fair. And now it's getting a lot of traction. It's wide in the wide open. It's right by the grandstands, booths, so many people. Haley, you would have known yesterday that Support Native Roots Radio would also really support our community.
Yes, a lot of community members out there, as well as great resources such as NAC, Native American Community Clinic, was out there, as well as our friends from NACD, Native American Community Development Institute. And yeah, Sean Sherman, he is the sous chef, and his restaurant is Owamni in Minneapolis there.
Yeah, Haley, you don't know how many years it took me to be able to pronounce Owamni, but you can imagine, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure other people do.
Oh, thank you. Hey, another important thing about today, it's Women's Equity Day. It's been 104 years since women were granted, and I like that word, granted, the right to vote. Mm-hmm. Really, it's like their God-given right, and they snapped out of it after many hundreds of years of not letting women and people without land, and on and on and on, all these different setbacks for the colonizers to control people. But congratulations, of course. It's called Women's Equity Day. That's really interesting.
Equality.
Oh, that's
just
what I
reading
meant.
It wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I wasn't memorizing that? No. Yes, reading it wrong. But hey, I'm delirious out here, and
yeah, understandable.
My Hinu Jalisa can vouch for that. I had to go in the car and turn on the air conditioning for a little bit.
I don't blame you.
One of the other things too, I liked what you put up on our notes is today's National Dog Day.
Yeah, I know. Really cool things going on today. National Dog Day. It's Women's Equality Day. Res dogs included. So we love all dogs. We do not discriminate.
Oh no, we don't. They run in packs. seen many res dogs in my day, and I've had dogs in the past that, of course, are family, but you could say they were res dogs because they had that little attitude, that
Oh,
couldn't tell them what to do, and they were like, "Hey,
strong fighters.
yeah." So there's other things going on in Minneapolis too. I know the American Indian OIC is co-hosting a job fair. Do you know much
Yeah.
about that? That's coming up on Wednesday.
Yeah, this Wednesday. So, American Indian OIC is co-hosting this with Minneapolis American Indian Center. That'll be this Wednesday, the 28th, at the Minneapolis American Indian Center gym from 10 to 1 p.m. And they're going to be connecting the community with local employers. I think it's a really great resource. If you're looking for a job or know anyone looking for a job, send them over to the Minneapolis American Indian Center off of Franklin Avenue there.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and again, I want to say that it's Women's Equality Day, 104 years
Yeah.
since women. You
Just
can edit that in, right?
we'll read it again real quick.
Yeah.
We're not live or anything.
Oh no, or anything. But hey, there was another thing that you put up on our notes to discuss here, and Finding Nemo, which was a beautiful movie, and that
Oh,
film
yeah.
can be watched on Disney Plus with another language now, another native language.
Yeah, this was really exciting. So I actually found this out on a TikTok, one of our favorite platforms, Daga, watching a TikTok. And it was, this Navajo woman in her living room, and her daughter was on the couch, probably 6 or 7 years old. And she was watching Nemo, and it was, the opening scene, and the first word that came out that the little girl heard was in Navajo language. And she ran up to her mom all excited, and she's like, did Nemo just talk in Navajo? And it was really cool. But I did not know that you could watch Finding Nemo on Disney Plus in Navajo language. I know we had, our good friend Thomas Draskovic on, Mr. D, who was in the Marvel's film Avengers, the Lakota language overdub.
Right.
And that
Hey,
was so cool.
that is really cool. I want to read this because I see every once in a while people holding fans that say never walls, never walls.
Oh, at the fair.
As in Governor Walls, and I want to read this to you real quick. Hey, have you heard about the Never Walls group? They bought a booth space at the Minnesota State Fair to hand out anti-wall stuff. What they failed to do is buy the domain. So someone else did. Go to neverwalls.com. I spelled it out because otherwise it would give a preview of and ruin the surprise. So when you click on it, it goes right to neverwalls.com. And let me click on it. And first thing it says is Trump is a convicted felon. Let's vote for adults. Try being joyful instead of a-hole. And then it goes walls, and then it goes right to their donation page.
Perfect.
So, yeah, they're not covering their bases, but it's nice that they got a booth out here, I guess.
Hey, trying, but not good enough.
Right. Well, it was funny too. A couple of years ago, when they were running for re-election for governor and lieutenant governor, they had a sign going through the whole fair, and it was saying something like, I don't know, never walls, maybe. I don't know. But they had a plane driving through it, and I remember talking to people and going, is that all they got? This is going to be a good election if they just have a plane going over the fair.
They just like being mean.
Yeah, and they really do enjoy that. So it's funny how that backfired now. So that's funny. So I'd like to put that out there. I shared that. Hey, we got Dr. Stately up the rest of the show. We're going to make him work hard because he's going to be in air conditioning, and he's not out here this year. So I'll have to give him a hard time about that. You're listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake at the fair, and Haley's at our studio. And the rest of the boys are at AM 950. So, hey, we'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
Oh, wow.
Unwanted sexting or photos, inappropriate jokes, even tickling or wrestling can feel like a violation. Catcalling, cornering, or groping, getting them drunk or high for sex, recording sexual acts without permission, hurting someone because of their sexual orientation, raping a family member, a child, a date, a friend, a stranger, purchasing a human being for sex. You make the choice every single time. Sexual violence is many things. Make a choice. Do not do it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, can potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States.
And 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected.
Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf.
Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy.
As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired.
Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hi, this is Governor Walz. Thank you for listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Clinic on Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis, honoring health and tradition.
Hey, we have our friend, Dr. Stately, President and Executive Director of Native American Community Clinic here. Welcome, Dr. Stately. I'm at the fair. Please pray for me.
I was going to say, yeah, you look like a bush Indian there with that thing on your head.
Hey, I got doing good. The memes are flying, and we're watching the memes here. And I have to share this with you. It was breaking news about Kid Rock. Did you see that meme?
No.
You know, Kid Rock opened up the Republican convention and had like 100 people watching him instead of 15,000.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, breaking news, Kid Rock announced earlier today that he has decided to remove his entire music catalog from the 8-track bin at Goodwill thrift stores. So power to you, Kid Rock.
Well, good for him.
Yes, remove those for sure. So how are you doing, and is our community doing with this heat?
Oh my gosh, I think like people are a little bit overwhelmed by the heat. I think it's, like, what is the index right now? Like, I think this morning when I came to work, it was like 81% or something like that. It's like, not the heat index, the
humidity,
the dew point. It was like 81,
dew point,
which is like, but the 90 degrees temperature with an 81 degree dew point, that just sounds like, boiling crawfish. That's what that sounds like.
Isn't it funny how us Minnesotans are really good at giving weather reports? I just thought everybody, Wendy loves doing it. It's just like, let's break this down.
It's
like
always changing.
And most people in other states don't know what we're talking about because they have good weather, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I think over just the last week or so, wouldn't it be untruthful to say like the weather report, the weathermen or the weather people rather have not been very good at like actually nailing the accuracy of the weather report?
I would agree with you 100%. We were here at the first day of the fair, and for 3 hours it was pouring, and we had all the doors closed, and it wasn't supposed to rain. So
I remember saying like, yeah, the other day I was like, I took my dogs out for a walk like I always do at this particular hour, and it was like, yes, there's like, oh, zero. I look at my weather app, it says 0% chance of rain, and I get a block away and it's raining on me.
yeah, exactly.
Well, what's up with this? Anyway, global
Yeah,
warming at its finest. So
yeah, and I agree. And I thought they were pretty accurate recently until just the last couple months, because we were at Shakopee too, and the same thing.
oh yeah.
Uh, it was like, okay, it's supposed to sprinkle at noon, and then by 10 in the morning it was pouring, and we had to. Well, I was crying. Let's just put it that way.
That's
I was,
sad. Sorry.
yeah, it was. But we made through it. Jaleesa and I made through it.
Nice. I do like your do-rag that you got on your head though. That's pretty cool.
Very sacred.
It is
You
like you
know.
gotta like adjust the camera so we can actually get the full effect of it. So yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm rejoining AIM
that
right
a-
after this.
You're like, yeah, you're gonna renew your membership. Is that a MMIWR headband? It looks like one.
No, it's one I found jogging a couple weeks ago, and then I
You-
washed her up.
Like randomly, you saw it on the side of the road and you picked it up.
Yeah, right next to an eagle feather, and I didn't have any tobacco, so I took the bandana
Oh,
and left the eagle feather.
really?
No.
For some random white person to grab it? I would say, like, you know, you're supposed to do your due diligence and keep those things with the hand of indigenous people.
You got to drop tobacco down in a good
I
way,
feel like
though.
people, like, always do the tobacco thing later. Like there's we live in
Oh,
modern society now. Like
okay.
I just keep it in my car, in my door, in a baggie, so I have it whenever.
Well,
kind of
you should have
you
been.
don't have chundies on you all the time. So
I usually wear it, and I don't know why I don't have it with me right now. I must have took it off, but there's other reasons why I wear it. But that's a different show for a different audience. Oh, wow.
that's true. Yeah. You
So
are. Is
are
that a cool rag you're putting over your neck there, like a wet cool rag?
Well, I just watched a Peter Lawford movie, and I thought I would wear kind of a turtleneck, but that's a bad reference for people that are under 60.
What are those things called that they used to wear around?
Dickies.
Yeah,
Dickies.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a cool rag.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's
Those
not
are
working.
really-
It's not
It's
working.
not. Well, are you like? Yeah, you are. You have to put it in cold water every once in a while, and then wring it out, and then put it back on. You can't just
Yeah.
leave it there saturating up your sweat all day.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I did. I have ice cubes here to dip it in, but they are
yeah.
no longer ice cubes. They are water, and there's things growing in there now, I think.
Were you at the fair yesterday for Indigenous Peoples Day?
Of course I was.
Nice.
Yeah. And it wasn't as hot. I gotta say, yeah, it was very nice, and it's always good. It's Indigenous Peoples Day every day here for us.
Yeah.
Being probably the only true native booth out here in the fair.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Burn.
That's quite
Whoa.
there. Yeah.
Well, we're right next to it. Do you remember Dr. Stately came out a couple of years ago and did the show? We're
Yeah.
right next to a native inspired booth. So that really means native stolen.
Yeah.
Native design stolen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is that the guy that had the little yeah, I think of that.
It was just behind us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember
But
that.
right across from the Democratic booth too, there's a booth called Oofda, and they sell fry bread and fry bread tacos. And when I saw that a couple days ago, I did say Oofda.
Yeah. Was there fry bread like weigh you down kind of a fry bread? Like
It was flattened, but it
wasn't
still.
it wasn't your grandma's fluffy
No.
yummy fry bread. It was
Well, it's
a
funny at Shakopee, some ho chunks from the Dells came up, and they had a ho chunk fry bread, and I'm telling you, it's the best fry bread I ever tasted.
Really?
Yeah,
I
truly.
must have missed that booth at Shakopee.
Were you at Shakopee?
Yeah.
Did I see you?
I don't know. I didn't see you. You could have seen me and not said a hello, but I didn't see you.
Wow. Well, we were there, and we were in our booth.
I was there on Saturday night. I think it was Saturday night.
Well, because my
It was the day that Adam Beach was there, and everybody was all on each other because Adam Beach was there.
Yeah. Well, we hung out. We hung out a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't know it was him. He looks a little bit different than he did in the movie. just a little different. And I was like, I walked into Ben Leadham's tent, Three Feathers, because I was like, I had to scold him because I had emailed him or texted him on Facebook.
Yeah, he sold all his blankets, right?
He did. He sold all of his blankets.
Well, it was funny when I saw Adam. I just said, "Thomas, your dad ain't coming back," and I'm sure he's never heard that one before, right?
No.
Yeah. I think the line is like, "Hey, Victor, why'd your dad leave?"
Yeah,
that was good.
That was good.
What I wanted to say to him when Ben told me it was Adam Beach. I was like, "Oh, but there was a big long line of people there." And
yeah,
I didn't want to be like that kind of elder, like just interrupt everybody, you know.
Yeah, you know I do.
Yeah, I know you do.
I pulled that elder card out.
Shamelessly. You're shameless.
I'm going to get a little thing to wear. It says elder. Oh, yeah. Give me some
on at choice moments, like
elder hat
at the feast. At the feast.
I go, well, you know, I know I look like I'm 39, but I am really truly an elder.
Yes. That's I double dog dare you to do that.
I won't do it in Dakota land. Let's put it that way.
Oh my Lord. Yeah.
Hey, we're here with Dr. Stately, and we're talking some good thoughts here today on Native Roots Radio, and I want to kind of talk about the heat in the next segment. And I know there's some cooling places in the Twin Cities, and we'll be able to talk a little bit about how important that is to check on our relatives and our elders.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, the excessive heat is really dangerous. It's dangerous for young babies because they have little tiny breathing pathways, right? And one of the things we do when we are exposed to long-term heat, we overheat and it's difficult to breathe, right? So we want to be thoughtful about that. And then old people like you also have a very difficult time with the heat, and so they're want to make sure we're taking care of our old ones.
Well, hey, I've been talking a little delirious today, so that might be catching up to me.
I think that's an all-round thing for you.
We'll have to talk the rest of the show and keep me active here. I'm down to only one bottle of water, so send water. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio, and we're with Dr. Stately and Haley, and we'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us. At the fair.
It's back to school time, which means getting back to school ready. One important thing to add to your to-do list this year is making sure your child is up to date on their vaccinations. Getting vaccinated will help your family avoid missing out on school, activities, work, family events, and vacation. Keep your family healthy by talking with your healthcare provider or visiting our free vaccination clinics in Minneapolis. Visit the City of Minneapolis website and search for vaccine clinics. A message from the Minneapolis Health Department.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot. I want to talk to you about the rising energy costs and how you can manage them with the help of 952 Windows. Many people have plenty of insulation in their roof and attic, but the next significant step for energy savings is installing energy-efficient windows and doors. My good friend owns 952 Windows, a part of Loyal Home. They did a remodeling job on our home 20 years ago and definitely did a better job than the other guys. I've talked to neighbors over the years that experienced contractor problems with those other guys, especially when their window and door upgrades fell short in quality and energy efficiency. But when we made our second floor addition to our home, we used 952 windows and received an excellent price and exceptional workmanship. Since then, we've seen much lower energy bills. So for your next home remodeling project, go with 952 Windows. Trust me, you won't regret giving them a call at 952 Windows or 952windows.com.
It's back to school time, which means getting back to school ready. One important thing to add to your to-do list this year is making sure your child is up to date on their vaccinations. Getting vaccinated will help your family avoid missing out on school, activities, work, family events, and vacation. Keep your family healthy by talking with your healthcare provider or visiting our free vaccination clinics in Minneapolis. Visit the City of Minneapolis website and search for vaccine clinics. A message from the Minneapolis Health Department.
ATNF AM 950 St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
The City of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
You may have seen a certain truck in videos being shared on social media. How about the truth? I have yet to see any video of that truck outperforming the Toyota Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota. I've driven Sienna since 2006. They handle the highways great, handle back roads, and handle 3 inches of snow a lot easier than the so-called super truck. Plus, my Sienna Hybrid is super fuel efficient, tows great, has enough room for tons of gear, and doesn't look like it was drawn by a 6-year-old. Sienna wins! Test drive the top of its class Sienna today at Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Showers and thunderstorms possible tonight. Some storms may be severe with a low of 70. Then Tuesday, a chance of rain and storms in the afternoon with a high of 81. The hottest music in the Twin Cities can be found at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley. Crooner's is off Highway 65 just north of I-694. Visit their website at croonersmn.com.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native Concrete and Masonry. Check out their work at nativeconcretemasonry.com and give Chuck a call at 612-597-0421.
Kate, we're live at the fair here, or at least I am, and we're here with Dr. Stately and Haley Cherry.
Harry.
I think we're seeing the signs of excessive heat.
Yeah, we got some heat.
I was just reading the symptoms, and one of the symptoms says, what does it say? It says one of the is dizziness, headache, fainting, nausea, dizziness, confusion, and unconsciousness. And it sounds like he has maybe that one. Dizziness.
One of them.
Confusion.
Just one? Yeah, I know, Haley, you're not Harry.
Harry
No,
Cherry.
just my head. Got some thick hair.
Right on. Some good native hair. Ooh, just like my, he knew.
That good native hair.
Yeah.
Chunker.
So that's the Dr. Stately, that's a good to go over that too. And because I know even yesterday there were some people that were passing out here at the fair, and it wasn't quite as hot as it is today. It's just like, keep an eye on your relatives.
Yeah, for sure. So I think like important things to sort of know is that there's heat exhaustion, and the impact of heat on you can look very differently depending on sort of like where you're, where you are with your exposure. But they kind of clump them into like quote unquote heat related illnesses, I guess. Like the most severe one, of course, probably is what we consider heat stroke. So that's like high, extremely high body temperature. Like if you took your temperature with a thermometer orally, it would be 103 degrees or above. That's really reaching very extreme temperatures. And for your internal temperature, red and hot, dry skin, red, like like almost like sunburn type looking, blotches on your face with no sweat, like not sweating at all. That is an indication that you're not letting off some of your body heat through sweat, which is our normal part of of being able to do that. Rapid strong pulse, you're feeling your heartbeat, or if you happen to like, maybe you're walking with your elder grandma or your grandpa and you happen to feel like their pulse on their wrist really strong, like beating really strong and rapidly, that's an indication that they might be experiencing heat stroke. And then, like I said, Robert's dizziness and confusion and unconsciousness is a strong symptom of heat stroke. Pretty severe symptoms there. You could pass out and lose consciousness as a result of that. And then less serious but still concerning are things like muscle pain or spasms in your stomach, your arms, or your extremities, like heat, what they call heat cramps. And then heat exhaustion is an indication that you're having, like, maybe you're heavy sweating, paleness, muscle cramps, tiredness, a feeling of weakness, dizziness and headache, and maybe even fainting or nausea and vomiting are some common symptoms. If you have any of those signs and symptoms, you want to go to a cooler location as quickly as possible, cool down, find some shade, which would be challenging, maybe possibly at the fair, but there are some trees around and other places where, and I think they have cooling stations there. But cool down, remove excessive clothing. So, but this is not an opportunity for you, Robert, to streak hard. Seek help and get a healthcare provider or some health intervention if those symptoms worsen or last longer than an hour, right? So
that's good information out there, because you just never know. Keep an eye on your relatives, what's going on.
Yeah, and I remember when I was a kid, one time I was walking home from the Indian Center to my house. My house was in like kind of like 31st and Minnehaha, a good mile, I think, away from where I was at. It was really an excessive heating hot day, and I was walking home and I was feeling like tired and like lethargic, and I remember seeing like little spots in front of my eyes, like like you do when you kind of are about to lose consciousness. And I actually did pass out, and somebody found me actually, and woke me up and gave me some cold water, on top of my head, and also to drink. But it was like, that happened to me when I was, I think, probably 14, 15 years old. So I think our common ideas sometimes are like, oh, just only these really, really young people, like babies, or really, really old people like Robert are prone to, having this condition. But it's really can be a problem for just about anybody, a teenager, a young person, somebody in their mid-40s.
Did you ever take salt pills back in the day? I remember when I marched parades as a young drum and bugle corps kid, we always took salt pills before parades.
No, never did that. But I did realize
maybe it was a placebo.
But like I think that's a thing too, is sort of help people to know that like when you sweat profusively, like in a hot day like this, and you're like expelling a lot of that heat through your sweat, you're also losing a lot of salt and potassium and other electrolytes from your body. So like just guzzling down gallons and gallons and gallons of water isn't always the best thing. And sometimes actually over drinking water is not actually a good thing as well. It can kind of create some imbalances with your electrolytes. So what you want to do, and just make you pee a whole lot more, what you want to do is maybe, I saw this actually when I was at a Sundance not too long ago. When they came out of the Sundance, they put lots of salt inside water, and they maybe put some lime in it or lemon in it as well to sort of kind of refresh some. So like make sure that you're replacing that salt and those electrolytes through some, maybe drinking Gatorade, IV liquid, any of those kinds of things that kind of replace those things that you lose through sweating, because that's actually what impacts your the functioning of your brain and your sensory motor skills and stuff.
Yeah, our friend Lori said a friend was on the drum in Phoenix and had a heat stroke. He said once you become more prone to get it, once you've had it,
Yeah.
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 Talk a little bit about that. That's interesting.
I think it's just important that we all recognize, like, this is a moment when it's a good reminder for us all to do things like remind each other to sort of look in on our relatives. If you have a relative that doesn't have air conditioning in their home, that maybe not has any other way of sort of kind of getting a reprieve from the heat, you should check in on them, because they are vulnerable. Our elders are vulnerable at this point in time, like checking in on them and calling them or stopping by their house and bringing them a bag of ice or other ways to sort of manage their heat. You could, another way of doing that is like take a cold shower, which, just cool off your skin temperature, which helps your body to sort of kind of bring down the effects of that heat. But if you happen to be outdoors in the middle of nowhere, just paying attention to your body and the signs and symptoms it's giving you, and then seeking help, like say something, like if you're not feeling well, say something to somebody so that they know how to help you.
Absolutely. Hey, I don't know if you saw this, but I was at the Democratic convention last week and really firing up and hanging out with the people.
I saw that you were there, and I couldn't see you in the crowd. I was looking for you on my screen, but
yeah. I was the one no, I don't want a sign, and then once it got going, give me a sign, so I can hold up a sign. Vote.
I was wondering why you weren't in that little booth that they had at the front, where like all the other journalists were, and like the candidates or the people speaking would come down and like hug them and shake their hand or kiss them. And I was like, well, how come Robert's not there?
Well, I was there in other capacities. I couldn't melt them together that weekend, so I was with my nation, looking good.
Yeah, representing the nation. Next time you can go as a journalist and be in that little booth. That looked like a nice place to be, actually.
Well, I'll bring you along, because
what was the feeling of being like in the convention? Like watching it from home, I was so excited. I mean, I think there were a couple of times, like I think I scared my kids because I jumped up off the chair and a couple of times and screamed really loud, and I was excited. I felt like literally really invigorated. Like I gave her $75 extra this month than I normally gave her. So.
Yeah, Wendy was doling out money too, and I just knowing the vibe was electric like Obama, and it was really just good medicine. People were excited, and that's good.
Yeah, it was really cool. I watched the night that Tim Walz gave his speech.
Mm-hmm.
He did a great job. Super excited about I shouldn't say this. Of course, I want the Democrats to win. Of course, I really think like this is an opportunity. Like I was talking. I think I told you this last week. I was driving with my kid, and my kid brings up the issue of the topic of Kamala Harris and her running for president, and like he makes the comment like I think Trump's crazy, and I said, well, and he's like, I wish I could vote this year. And I said, well, one more year, but don't forget that's always a civic duty, right? And but I said, well, who would you vote for? He goes, well, I'd vote for Kamala, of course. And I was like, and I wanted him to explain why, and so he kind of explained why, and he said, well, I think Trump's a bad person and kind of crazy, and she seems like a really nice lady, and she said some really important things. And I said, well, here's the thing is like, I want you to realize, son, that you're living through history being made right now. Like the opportunity that we have to elect our first female Black and Asian president in the United States. I said, that's history making. I said, and if that happens, what's even really cooler is like Tim Walz will be the vice president, and that means in Minnesota we will have our first Native American female governor ever in the United States and in the history of Minnesota. That's amazing.
It is amazing, and we're with the amazing Dr. Stately and Haley Cherry.
Oh, no.
Okay, I'm going down the deep end. We'll be right
water.
back. This is go get some water.
You might better go get some water or have somebody give you something. A salt filler too.
Right on. We'll be right back with Haley Cherry and Dr. Stately. Ho-wah at the fair.
It's back to school time, which means getting back to school ready. One important thing to add to your to-do list this year is making sure your child is up to date on their vaccinations. Getting vaccinated will help your family avoid missing out on school, activities, work, family events, and vacation. Keep your family healthy by talking with your healthcare provider or visiting our free vaccination clinics in Minneapolis. Visit the City of Minneapolis website and search for vaccine clinics. A message from the Minneapolis Health Department.
Bonjour, hello. My name is Wabin. I am an enrolled member of the White Earth Nation, descendant of the Navajo Nation, and co-chair of the Indigenous Employee Resource Group with the Minnesota Department of Transportation. MnDOT is hiring for a variety of positions from road maintenance to accounting and more. We offer great benefits. For more information or to set up a one-on-one resume and application assistance, visit mn.gov/careers, or you can text or call 612-257-2388. 612-257-2388.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Back to school is just around the corner, and Seward Co-op is here to help get students of any age stocked up with affordable organic options, specialty snacks, and meals from the hot bar for nights when you don't want to cook. Whether you need coffee to get your school drop-off going or just need a place to study, Seward Co-op has you covered this school year. Learn more at seward.coop. That's seward.coop.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Oh. Do you see I did a older wolf with a lower voice there? Just wanted to point that out.
Nice.
So, hey, we're with Dr. Stately, and we're talking just about a lot of different things as we usually do. We'd love having Dr. Stately on. Again, a great story about your son, talking about the upcoming election. I really truly believe that Gen Z will save us again in this election, and that the margin of victory is a lot bigger than people think. But I'm worried about the day after the election.
Oh yeah, like all the civic unrest and all the craziness that people will do that they're part of his MAGA base. Yeah, for sure. Me too.
Yeah, so all we can do is pray, and then if it's a landslide, we can definitely point to that, as opposed to, Trump's been talking about the rigged election since 2015, even though he won the first one.
The 2016 one?
Yeah, but right.
He won it through the Electoral College, but he lost the popular vote by some significant margin, actually.
3 million. 3 million.
Yeah. So
Are you eating ice cubes during the show here?
I am actually.
Does that keeps you hydrated too, right?
Yeah. Actually, so one of the things I wanted to point out was like, because your ad, I mean, what do we call it, an ad? It's the advertisement, and your incoming, your between session advertisement talked about COVID-19 surging. And I think it's a good opportunity for us to remind people that COVID is actually significantly rising. In fact, actually, within the last, like the first 2 weeks of August, we've seen the highest peak in new COVID-19 positive rates that are on par with what was happening in January of 2022, I think, or 2021, if I'm not mistaken. So.
Well, that's interesting, and I did think about that when I was at the convention too. That saw a few people with masks, but I mean, it was mayhem, and especially if you were on the floor, you were right next to everybody.
Yeah, so I just wonder, like, if that was a super spreader event. It would be interesting to see what happens. But I also think that by and large, people kind of walk around on a daily basis, and I certainly have these moments where I kind of forget, like, we still the pandemic is still a thing, right? But I work in a clinic where I have seen quite a bit of staff over the last several weeks, kind of in clumps or in clusters. They go on a trip, they come back, and and then they have, like, they think they have allergies, or they think they have this, and they actually have COVID, and then their colleagues get it, and a few other things. I think it's just a really good reminder to tell people, like, remember, two things. One is, if you live with somebody, or you are around someone who is very, very vulnerable to COVID and the effects of COVID because of their underlying disorders and those kinds of things, be thoughtful about that. Wear a mask. Err on the side of being cautious. But also, there's less than 10% or 14%, I think, was the last metric I heard of Americans, that both kids and adults, that are up to date on their vaccines, right, for preventing serious illness from COVID. So it's just an opportunity for us to remind people, like, if you haven't gotten vaccinated in a while, it would be a good idea for you to get vaccinated.
Dr. Stately, I think I was with the doctor a couple months ago, and they were waiting until. Is there such a thing as a fall COVID vaccine?
There is a fall COVID vaccine that's supposed to be coming out soon. I think they expect that it's going to be a vaccine that will actually have
the flu.
It'll more closely address the latest mutations of COVID-19, like specifically the mutations called KP1, KP2, and KP3, and that those three sort of mutations, or those strands, kind of accounted for most of the infections in the United States the first couple weeks of August, according to the CDC. And it's not particularly debilitating or dangerous. I think it's not necessarily deadly, but it is very highly contagious, and it spreads fairly easily and rapidly. It makes people feel, it affects everybody differently, but then, I had some people be like, well, I was sick a day and I came back to work the next day because I felt great. And then I have other people I know that were like, I just felt like, like I was really ill for, like, I had a bad summer flu for like 7 days straight, right? And I think the things is just remember that everybody experiences it differently, right? So your best source here is to prevent it by making wise choices.
Well, I was also wondering too, if it's still, like, when you get a vaccine, you're most likely not to have it as bad, just like in the past. Is that still true to this new vaccine that's coming around?
I haven't boned up on the most recent vaccines that are currently being developed. I do know that they're intended to sort of like be, treat like all of the more comprehensive things that have been happening for the last several months, and then address some of the newer variants. I think one of the things that I read about this most recent article was talking about is like what this is telling us and what it's showing us is that probably COVID-19 is going to be a fairly stealthy virus that rapidly mutates, and we're probably going to be living with it for a while. We're going to have to just recognize that there are some ways for us to take precautions to make sure that we're not passing it along to vulnerable members of our family or the people we love, right? And that we work with and socialize with. Like we can, like if we're feeling unwell, we can do something to prevent getting other people ill. And then reminding people to do things like test. In fact, I think Uncle Joe reopened the free test kits for this next month. You can get
good one.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think testing is really important, especially as you're like, it's Labor Day weekend coming up. People are going to be having parties, they're going to be socializing. And then right after that, they're going to have kids going back to school, which is like, there's no bigger petri dish of viral infection and infectious diseases than a school filled with kids who are just come from like hanging out with family members and,
yeah.
So
that's crazy. And I'm glad you're talking about that and reminding a lot of us too that it's time to get vaccinated again when that new vaccine comes out. I'm all about that.
Yeah, and if you're planning on traveling, especially traveling transnationally or internationally, like I would really encourage you to make sure that you get that vaccination before you leave. I'm going to Ireland in April, and I plan to get like all my shots. Two of them each dose.
Yeah. Definitely. Because I mean, even in this past winter, a lot of people that we know that flew different places came back with COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, hey, I want to thank you for being on as always, Dr. Stately. And Haley, thank you so much for producing the show as always. I just want to end with this thought. If you're still here, we're still here. We are the seventh generation.
Yes.
And free Leonard Peltier now.